Bitcoin Cash may be in a crash, but I see no reason to think it's anything but something healthy. I'm quite excited because I got my old podcast mic working with my new computer. So hopefully the sound quality is a little bit better, but it's been a bloody day in the stock market and cryptos, but that's not necessarily anything to be freaked out about. This is our short-term chart. This is our 1 hour linear view into Bitcoin Cash. And we've come up a long way over the past month since we hit our low way back in end of February 24th. We have what is now best identified as a first wave, a second wave, and a third wave in place. And when we build out our Fibonacci extension tools, the proportions are hit almost perfectly. So we got our third wave to hit the 1.32 extension, which is about where you'd want your third wave to hit. Now, that doesn't mean we're not out of the woods, because as with all the other cryptos, this could easily be interpreted as an ABC pattern up with some downside ahead. However, I hesitate to shift to that as my primary because, well, look at this thing. We've had a long sideways consolidation. We hit a peak on March 22nd, and today is April 6th, and we've been going sideways for quite a long time. What kind of wave does that most often? Fourth waves. That's what fourth waves do. They're long, slow, and sideways. Sometimes they don't move much at all. We've seen quite a bit of chop, but this seems best identified as possibly an A, a B, and a C wave, which may or may not be nearing completion. I would expect it to be nearing completion because we've had the MACD cross back over in some of these cryptos, although I think Ethereum actually broke 3,200. I'm looking at this one because it's the one I was tracking most closely earlier today. When we take a closer look, we are definitely in the right territory. We've gone more than deep enough for this to be a completed C wave for our fourth wave. And when we compare the A wave to the C wave, we're just a little short of the 1.618 extension. So that's about as far as you'd like it to get stretched. So don't be surprised if we have a slightly nominally lower low in Ethereum specifically. That would take us to about 3150. And in Ethereum, I do see this as being an expanded flat correction, whereas in Bitcoin Cash, you don't have that structure. Our B wave, actually we do. Our B wave did exceed the top of the third wave. The reason I see that as a B wave is because this looks really choppy and corrective. This is better identified as a B wave. And finally, when we look at Bitcoin, the story is similar. Here, you don't have that expanded flat look to it. You have more of a conventional looking zigzag. So you have an A, a B, and a C wave that looks like it's nearing completion. You actually see the MACD down here curling back over, and there's a divergence. So that's a very good indication from Bitcoin, at least, that we are close to turning around. Ethereum doesn't have that, neither does Bitcoin Cash. And finally, I'll look at Dash because that one does sometimes indicate changing sentiment before the others. And you're not seeing that as much, but all I got to know is the biggest crypto, Bitcoin, the OG crypto, is showing us signs that the bottom of this correction is nearing. Now, there is something to note in Bitcoin Cash in particular, in that our fourth wave pullback has now overlapped the top of what we were calling our first wave peak. So by Elliott wave definitions, this can no longer be considered an impulsive wave up, because you can't have your fourth wave bottom overlap the first wave top. So that means that we're more than likely following a diagonal pattern, which is still a 5-wave pattern. And I would still expect us to top out somewhere around north of the $400 mark, ideally 417 plus, might see a blow off. And because it is taking a diagonal form, we can actually draw a trend channel line even in the short term to give us a rough estimate on timing. And really, this is not looking too accurate. So take it with a grain of salt. What I'm seeing here, if we do hit that 437 mark, might take another week or two. Might coincide with tax day, something like that. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to shift over the big picture here, and this has been cleaned up. And as usual, this is available in the description below. So check out that link if you'd want to take a closer look for yourself. But we do have our bottoming structure in place that we've been going over the past few updates. We have that MACD divergence where this is going up while the prices were going down. And we have a small rally budding, as we saw in the short-term picture. And we still have our red pattern. As I mentioned, we are not out of the woods yet in any of the cryptos because we haven't invalidated that yet, and we won't invalidate it until we have a much larger 5-wave pattern up into the box overhead. However, this does look complete to my eyes. We have our A, B, and our C, which hit the 0.764 extension of our A wave. So ideally, it would have hit the 1.0 extension, and therefore, while we have a lot of clues, it's over. If we do break our low at what was it, $260, we're probably going to fall in that red box below, 185, possibly as low as $74. That would be an extraordinarily deep retrace. I wouldn't expect that. So don't be surprised if we have anything like that. It does look scary on the big picture. You see that red candle just spiking down from our top. But as we looked on the smaller picture, it's not as ominous. It does look like a completion of a fourth wave, or at least it's close to being complete. Now, if we start streaking down more sharply, that would definitely get some yellow lights flashing in my eyes. It would make this lower low a higher possibility. And this was not the case over the past few days. This is more of a recent development. So we're going to see how that goes. You can see we've lost quite a bit on some other cryptos, such as Ethereum Classic. Doge just got buried after having a pretty spectacular rally yesterday. Now, what is this green pattern looking like for us in the near term and in the long term? Well, I have made the clarification that Bitcoin Cash, along with Litecoin and many other altcoins, are following more of a diagonal pattern. Bitcoin and Ethereum specifically are following an ending diagonal, most likely for their fifth waves. This is not confirmed by any means yet, but it would fit best with what we're seeing. Bitcoin Cash probably has the most clean looking diagonal structure so far, in that we had a very clear zigzag first wave, zigzag second wave, and then our third wave hit the ideal targets for a third wave within a diagonal. We got past the 1.236. Typically, you don't see it go any further than that. Nice little blow off here, and you can easily interpret this as an ABC up. As a matter of fact, might as well put the nomenclature there just to make the clarification. While you can interpret this as a 5 up, it could also just as easily be considered an extended C wave. Well, a zigzag with an extended C wave up. Ever since then, we have a zigzag down. We have that overlap of the fourth wave bottom with the first wave peak. Remember that? I just went over that in the short-term picture. We had the same thing happen in the short term. So it looks like a fractal copy, honestly, of what we're seeing. The big picture and Elliott waves are fractal by nature. It wouldn't shock me to see something similar play out on the larger degree scale. So hint, hint, what we see Bitcoin Cash do for its fifth wave, its presumable fifth wave, may actually, well, it may resemble what we're going to see in the big picture on the larger degree. So our fifth wave would, again, ideally get somewhere around here. I forgot to put this earlier. So if we see that, if we get anywhere near that 1.764 extension, which sits at 417, our 1.764 extension would be in that $4,000 range. That's right. You heard me right. 4,000. Let's not get too excited just yet, but that is where we are projecting if we do hit that. And I would fully expect our final rally to take a zigzag form, because again, this is an ending diagonal or a leading diagonal, one of the two. It's a diagonal regardless, and they take three-wave forms. It's the same as a lot of the other altcoins. Where I expect us to end up is presumably somewhere between 850 and 1760, just in this initial A wave alone. Now, we could end up having an impulse. It's possible. It is a possibility. There is a chance that this is actually a huge A wave with a B wave pullback, and this could be an impulsive C wave that goes even higher than what we've seen here. That would take us well past $5,000 if that happens. Very low likelihood right now, but it is just something to keep in mind. If we see more of an impulsive format coming, you see more 5-wave rallies with 3-wave pullbacks, that could give us some, well, it could mean that we are following that pattern. I've mentioned in a lot of the other coins, we have an alternate pattern that does look for an impulsive rally, and you would see some correlation between this and other coins if that is the case. After this A wave happens, expect a 3-wave pullback in our B wave. It would be pretty deep, most likely. If we use history as any indication, we had a 61.8% retrace off of our preceding rallies A wave. So that would take us pretty deep down, maybe back down the $400 range before we take off like a rocket. We expect to see a 5-wave, either an ending diagonal or an impulse for our C wave up. And that would take us again somewhere north of 4,000. The exact number is 4215. We are, it's not unprecedented to see blow-offs at the ends of ending diagonals. And if we do see such a thing come, expect a colossal pullback. It would be an epic crypto crash, and it would probably send shockwaves throughout all of the cryptos. Expect similar action in possibly the equities as well. You might see this top coincide with a major stock market top. I will be putting out more videos on the Dow and my overall analysis of that, because at the end of the day, all of these asset classes are driven by the same overarching sentiment. So if we have any clues that we can glean from other asset classes, it could help us make some more sense of cryptos. In the short term, we are looking for more upside. Once this pullback is over, I do fully expect that the pullback is nearing an end. We need to see some action relatively soon. Whether this is going to be a 5-wave rally or it's a 3-wave zigzag is yet to be seen, because A waves, contrary to what you may read in Elliott wave textbooks, are often 3-wave patterns. in my own experience, 3-wave patterns are more common than 5-wave patterns for the A wave. If it is a 5-wave pattern, doesn't necessarily mean it's an impulsive rally, because you're not going to be able to tell the difference until we start blasting through some resistances overhead. So plenty of excitement ahead. I got that 12x return right there prominently displayed. So reasons to be excited, but don't get too obsessed with just one crypto. If you like Bitcoin Cash, consider buying a bunch of other altcoins as well. There's a lot of good options out there. You never know which one's going to outperform. It's just like trying to pick the next speculative growth stock. You don't just pick one, you pick a bunch of them, because some of them might go kaput, bankrupt. Their project might get shut down. You never know. They might get decommissioned. So until I'll have more updates on Bitcoin Cash as well as the overall cryptos, subscribe so that you don't miss those. And if you enjoyed my video, don't forget to give me a like. Until next time, thank you for watching and happy trading.